You are Locked On Knicks Postcast, part of Locked On Sports New York on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, we are back. It's the Knicks Postcast. Once again, my name is Jay Berman. It wasn't pretty, but it was effective. The Knicks beat the Raptors again, make it a dozen. 12 consecutive wins over the Raptors. In fact, the last time the Knicks lost to Toronto was in Toronto in January of 2023, folks. It's been 3 years since the Knicks last lost to the Raptors. In fact, OG Anunoby, the last time the Raptors beat the Knicks was on the Raptors. Again, Knicks win tonight as they beat the Raptors in Toronto 111-95. Once again, Jalen Brunson led the way, scored a team-high 26. And the Knicks have taken the first 4 games this season from the Raptors. They'll play once more at Madison Square Garden later in the season. Again, 111-95, the final score, as the Knicks beat the Raptors in Toronto. Hello, I'm Jay Berman. Welcome to the Knicks Postcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. The Postcast gives you a place to hang out after every single Knicks game. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single night. And again, without further ado, let's hit it.
This is what you'll be talking about.
All right, as we said, a good win for the Knicks. At one point in the very first quarter, a lot of similarities between tonight and the Spurs game on Sunday. Anyways, the Knicks at one point quickly down double digits to the Raptors in Toronto. The first quarter, they were down 10. They would overcome that disadvantage to take a 13-point lead at one point. But again, the Raptors got close, at least until the very end. The Knicks, in fact, finished the game on a 16-2 run, and it equals their 40th win of the season. Knicks now 40-22, screaming towards the playoffs. The Knicks have now won 15 of 19. As we said, the last time they lost to the Raptors was in Toronto in January of 2023. OG Anunoby at that point in time was a member of the Toronto Raptors. Now, as we said, the Knicks were down 10 early. However, they finished the first quarter on a 15-4 run, which ballooned to a 20-4 run early into the second quarter. However, the Raptors chipped away, never letting it get more than 15 down. And again, the Knicks, as we said, had the lead for most of the game and held on late. A late run, as we said, a 16-2 run to close the game. Now, as for OG Anunoby, the numbers are startling. He is now 7-0 versus former team. Those are the games he's played in. In those games, he's averaging north of 20. As for tonight, he had 15, missed just one shot. He also had 5 rebounds and 2 3-pointers. Now, we bring up the 3-pointers because OG, when he hits 2 or more 3-pointers, that's usually a win for the Knicks. Knicks are now 24-5 when OG hits at least 2 3-pointers. Now, as we said, since the OG Anunoby trade, the Knicks are 10-0 against the Raptors. They have not lost. Now, obviously, OG has not played all 10 of those games. If you remember, there was injuries last year and the year before. So, in the games he has played against his former team, OG Anunoby 7-0, averaging north of 21 points per game in those games. As we said, when he hits 2 or more 3-pointers, the Knicks usually win. That number goes up to 24-5 this season when OG hits 2 or more 3-pointers. As for Jalen Brunson, we told you he was the leader tonight. He pumped in a game-high 26, 10 of 22 shooting from the field, also dished out 10 assists. Now, as for Brunson, we told you this on Sunday after the Spurs win. If he finishes with 25 points per game or more to finish the season, he would become the first Knick ever to average north of 25 points per game in an entire season in 3 straight years. Again, Brunson now averaging north of 25, and bears repeating, if he gets to that number and finishes on the number, he'll be the first Knick ever to average more than 25 per game in 3 straight seasons. As we said, he was the leader tonight, 26 points on 10 of 22 shooting. Now, Karl-Anthony Towns at it once again, his NBA leading 42nd double-double. No surprise there. Cat in 29 minutes scored 21 points on 10 of 17 shooting. Also grabbed 13 rebounds, had 6 assists, a steal, and a block. He was brilliant again tonight. Now, what a difference a year makes. Of course, we talked about ad nauseum last year about the minutes and how tired the Knicks would eventually be down the stretch. And that's exactly what happened, be it in the regular season and obviously in the playoffs as well. Well, things have changed dramatically. Now, this by no stretch was a blowout. So these were important minutes late. OG played 27 minutes. Karl-Anthony Towns played 29. Now, 2 of the 5 starters played below 30 minutes, a far cry from the way it was under Coach Tibbs last year. But again, that's a topic for another day. As for Mikal Bridges, his 618th consecutive game played, no-brainers now that he's going to play because he's just been that good. Bridges had 11 points on 4 of 7 shooting. Now, as for the plus-minus, Jose Alvarado led the Knicks with a plus 19. As for the starters, plus 14 was the high for Josh Hart, who once again has been brilliant defensively. Now, as we said, the Knicks have now played 3 consecutive games where all 5 starters have scored in double digits. Mikal Bridges had 11, Josh Hart had 12, OG had 15, Cat had 21, Jalen Brunson had 26. Also, Landry Shamet was in double digits, so technically 6 Knicks, but more importantly, all 5 starters scored in double digits. Shamet had 12 off the bench. All right, time now for, you guessed it, the turning point.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Yeah, and just like on Sunday against the Spurs, this one happened early. The Knicks, as we said, quickly down 10. Just as quickly as they were down 10, they were up 13, and that's the turning point. Once they got out to that big lead after the 15-4 run at the end of the first quarter, which turned into a 20-4 run late first, early second, that's your turning point. The Raptors, despite giving it all they could, never got back down within less than 2. They could not get the game tied. So again, excellent work early to turn things around, and then obviously to play well with the lead, which leads us to this.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
Is obviously Jalen Brunson, who once again leads the Knicks in scoring with 26. As we said, looking for 25 points per game. It would be really history in the making. As we said, Brunson had 26, also dished out 10 assists. The Knicks committed 16 turnovers. They forced 13 among the Raptors. Now, the Knicks actually held Brandon Ingram down fairly well. He scored 31, which is a game high on 11 of 20 shooting, but 26 of those coming in the first half. So the Knicks held Brandon Ingram to single-digit points in the second half. And again, a big reason why Jalen Brunson. We'll take a break. When we return, we will break down the second half of a huge back-to-back. Of course, we love when the Knicks play the Raptors because it usually means they win. But tomorrow night, of course, at the Garden, the Oklahoma City Thunder. And what we could only hope would be a finals preview. Anyways, we'll get to that coming up next. All right, time to tell you about Indeed. Workplace chaos, deadline stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to still fill, is sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed, sponsored jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location, so you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Spend less time searching, more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now. Support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. All right, up next is BetterHelp. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. March is a time to celebrate women, especially around International Women's Day, and to recognize just how much they carry at work, in relationships, in families, and in all the unseen roles they step into every single day. It's easy to celebrate that strength, but it's just as important to make space for their emotional well-being. And honestly, that goes for all of us. I think about my mom and how much she carries without always saying so. And it makes me think, how many of us are doing the same thing? Well, the roles we play, the expectations we carry, the pressure we don't always talk about, therapy can help with all of that, creating balance, setting healthy boundaries, supporting your overall well-being. With over 30,000 licensed therapists and more than 6 million people served worldwide, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, and it works. Fill out a short questionnaire, get matched with a licensed therapist, and if it's not the right fit, switch at any time. Your emotional well-being matters, and feel lighter in therapy. Sign up to get 10% off at BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. That's BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. Last but not least, FanDuel. College basketball is nonstop. Big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every single night. From early tip-offs to late-night West Coast shootouts, there's always action on the board. And now FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger potential wins with the college basketball parlay profit boost. You can build any college hoops parlay you want, rivalry games, ranked matchups, whatever fits my read. You can mix spreads, totals, and player props to match how you see the slate playing out. Then you can apply the profit boost and instantly bump up the potential payout. Go safe, go bold, ride with the team you've been following all season. It's your parlay, your style, now with more upside behind it. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. All right, folks, we are back. My name is Jay Berman. This is the Knicks Postcast on the #1 sports podcast network. Of course, it's Locked On. Again, my name is Jay Berman. A 111-95 win for the Knicks. And as we said, it's the front half of a back-and-back. Now, of course, they play Oklahoma City tomorrow night at the Garden. If you're wondering, yes, Oklahoma City is playing tonight. They're in Chicago facing the Bulls and likely to win. They're up double digits. So neither team is going to get rest. Both teams have to travel. That being said, it is a huge game for the Knicks, and we know how they fare against better teams. Hasn't been great this season. But again, always fun when these two teams get together. As we said, it's an early start time, 7 Eastern. It's an ESPN game, a national game. So again, Oklahoma City and the Knicks from the Garden. Of course, this precedes a huge road trip for the Knicks in Denver, in LA twice against both the Lakers and the Clippers. Then they head to Utah before they return home, a stop in Indiana. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games, 4 of them on the West Coast. It's going to be very difficult. Denver on Friday, the Lakers on Sunday, Monday, again in LA against the Clippers, Wednesday in Utah, then the following Friday against the Pacers in Indiana before the Knicks return home for the Golden State Warriors. That's their next home game after the Oklahoma City game tomorrow night. So again, should be fun. And of course, we'll be here to break it all down after the Thunder Knick game tomorrow night. 111.95. As we said, the Knicks win their 40th game of the season. They're now 40-22. And before we get out of here, I want to mention our partners in crime over at Locked On Knicks. Stuff is great over there. You want to follow, subscribe, and enjoy. Again, all the stuff at Locked On Knicks. Aces. Knicks win tonight again, 111.95. They've now beaten the Toronto Raptors, count it, 12 consecutive times. It's been over 3 years since the Knicks last lost to the Raptors. Tomorrow night, a fun one from the Garden. Remember, 7 Eastern tip time against Oklahoma City, and we'll be with you immediately following that game. Let's go Knicks, and we'll see you tomorrow night.